So we have got a lot to get to this morning, so let's get on it. We have a major analyst calling Tesla his favorite short for 2024. That'll be coming up, but it doesn't look like his idea is impacting the stock at all. That's good. Hey, Rob Maurer notes that Elon Musk liked a post on X related to the expansion of the Gigafactory in Shanghai. That would certainly suggest that this is on the way. In fact, the SEC could even question his like if it were not a confirmation. Does that make sense? So if you, just by putting that like there, it's suggesting it's a confirmation, and the SEC would say, why did you do that? Were you pumping the stock? If it's not true. So, but if true, however, why not just come out and give us the update? Let's get real. Anyway, all right. So will Generation 3 really be in Mexico second after Austin, or will Shanghai beat them to production? Maybe we're going to have a race. Markets are down a little bit in the early going last time I checked, but they're moving toward the green, and that's true for Tesla as well. All right, this is Randy Kirk. If you haven't done it already, hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like. Come on, we got to hit the like button and then hit subscribe and notify. Listen, this is Jobs Friday, and when Jobs Friday happens, then that means that Cathie Wood is going to be out later today with her monthly update. You may want to watch that in its entirety. Even whether you watch it or you don't watch it, you know you want to watch tomorrow morning when Larry Goldberg and I tear it apart. Well, actually, we like Cathie Wood, but we sometimes find things that we don't agree with. But that is turning out to be one of the most popular shows of the month. Because why? Because everybody loves Larry. Anyway, and Larry does a great job helping me figure out what's going on there. In the meantime, though, today, around 1 o'clock today, I'll be posting a video that Brian Wong and I are going to do later. And this is going to be on quantum computing. And Brian has been very, very interested for the last 10 days. He's wanted to do this video on quantum computing. There's breakthroughs happening in that area, and it's going to, another thing that's going to change a whole bunch. And this is not hopium. This is things that are actually taking place. You're going to want to see that video later today as well. All right. So speaking of Larry Goldberg, one last thing. Oh yeah, did I mention? Oh yeah, I would hate to, go any further without suggesting that it's time to get one of these, or, in the stainless, either way, or in camo. You know the routine. I'll talk about it at the very end. If you want to wait around, if you haven't made your decision yet, I'll talk in detail later at the very end. Okay. So, but the information is always down below in the description in terms of the pricing, in terms of how to order, etc. All right. So from Larry Goldberg, he says, there was a lot of hand-wringing going on that Ganesh Venka, head of Dojo, left Tesla. He says the bench at Tesla is really deep with a lot of years behind them, and the culture is strong. I maintain a list of all the execs that I've identified and how long they've been there. And, it's really a deep, deep bench. So, I mean, you have Franz von Holzhausen, he's been there 15 years. Drew Baglino, 17 years. Tom Zhu, 9 years. Lars Moravi, 13 years. Martin Viecha, 6 years. Rowan Patel, 6 years. Charles Kuhlman, he's been there 8 years. Roshan Thomas has been there 14 years. And these are people that are like the chief designer, the SVP powertrain and energy, the SVP automotive, vice president of automotive, vice president of vehicle engineering, vice president of investor relations. So these people, and it goes on and on. I'm going to put this list. Where am I going to put this list? I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out where I could put it. I could. Well, if you want it, let me know in the comments below that you want the list. But you could also go on X on Larry Goldberg's account on X, and you can see it there. All right. From Torque News, in a short announcement on X, Dana White said, I'm giving away a free Tesla Cybertruck. Man, he says, this has to be the biggest giveaway I've ever done for 2 reasons. Number one, it's a $100,000 truck. And number 2, there's a 3-year waiting list for the thing. Thank you, Elon Musk, my brother. I appreciate you doing this for me. Well, it sounds like a very generous thing for Elon to do. At the same time, I think this is my kind of promotion. The total cost of the promotion is no more than the value of the truck. There will be massive publicity. It's already happening. There's already articles about it. And just from the announcement of the contest before the contest is really fully running. And who is it aimed at? Oh, yeah, the pickup crowd. This is genius. Okay, so Tony Saccagione of Bernstein will have a bunch of folks hating on him in a few months. He has called Tesla his best idea for a short in 2024. Folks that take his advice are going to not be very, very happy in 2, 3, 4, 5 months from now. Absolutely nothing new in his analysis. I didn't go into depth in it, but just looking at the reporting on it, there was nothing new. It's the same old thing. He didn't change his price target of 150. That's been there for a very long time. And he's been wrong for a very, very long time. But it might put a drag on the stock. Maybe it dragged on the stock yesterday because that's when it came out. Maybe it's dragging on the stock this morning. But betting against Elon has not turned out to be a winner. Has he considered how bad such a short could turn out if FSD gets solved or Optimus bots start working on the Optimus bot production line? Yeah, this has potential to potential get him fired, I think, because it could really go bad. This is from Morningstar this morning. Of course, the unemployment rate drops to 3.7 from 3.9. You might have already heard about that. That is the headline number. But when you dig into it, it's a nothing burger. There's nothing in this that anybody should be worried or concerned about. Let's start out. The return of striking workers boosted the number of new U.S. jobs created in November by a solid 199,000. It's a good number, but 45,000 of that was the returning strikers. Wages rose sharply. That would be 0.4%, which is the same as last month. So people were hoping it would go down, but 0.4 is not horrible, and it shouldn't have any impact on the decisions by the Fed at this point. If it had dropped to 3.3 in that range, then to 0.3 to 3%, people might have been a little excited about that. But the fact that it stayed at 4, not a problem. Anyway, so economists polled by the Wall Street Journal had forecast 190,000. It's 199,000. The latest employment report was somewhat weaker. If the return of up to 50,000 striking Hollywood and auto industry employees are set aside. The unemployment rate, meanwhile, fell to a 4-month low of 3.7, down from 3.9. Again, that has to do with how many people are coming into the market, et cetera. Average hourly earnings increased, as I said, a sharp. This is 0.4 on a month over month. I'm very, very sorry. But the yearly wages was unchanged at 4%. So the 0.4, now there's a slightly worrisome item on a month over month basis. The wages number is a bit of it as okay. So Reuters is reporting that traders had earlier priced in a 60% chance of a March start to Fed rate cuts, but after the data came out this morning, that was pared down to just a 50% chance of a cut for March, with May now the more likely starting point. I think a drop from 60 to 50 again, it's a nothing burger. It could change back next week when the CPI report comes out or when the Fed speaks. So I'm still calling March, maybe even sooner than March. A little more digging today from yesterday. I promised you I would go take a look at the natural gas futures. They're definitely lower. So it's hard to explain why the utilities are charging so much more this year for natural gas. And it's a lot according to True Inflation. Most of these are regulated and not allowed to make more than a certain amount of profit. But they are able to, and they are required to add lots of new services. Federal governments, state governments, federal government, requiring them to add services that you may or may not care about, but they get to add these services and they get to charge for them. They're also allowed to profit on new infrastructure, and they've been adding a lot of new infrastructure, fixing old pipes, or adding because some of the pipes are really, really bad, but also power lines. Now, I know that doesn't affect natural gas, but it's affecting utilities in general. In particular in the West, where there's wildfires, and now in Maui, lots of infrastructure and lots of lawsuits about previous fires. So utilities are up a lot, and apparently in Europe as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. Also note that commodities other than gold are at multi-year lows on average. My suspicion is that we have little additional downside to go. If the commodities are at multi-year lows, going back to 2020, 21, I think we're probably maxing out on commodities dropping down. And what I'm suspecting that commodities will now be flat for the next 6 months or so, and then maybe begin to start inching up in the fall. Russia and Saudi Arabia this morning are calling for even more cuts on oil production, which moved the price up $1 or so this morning. I think the market, and I think the market thinks this is very unlikely. It's not going to get more cuts. They did everything they could to get cuts, and that didn't happen. Meanwhile, Barron says the European Union enters the winter of 2023-2024 with gas storage tanks 95% full. Germany and its neighbors have activated half a dozen terminals for importing liquefied natural gas. France laid plans for 6 new nuclear power reactors. Thermostats are down and solar power capacity up quarter over all year long. I mean, the thermostats are down, but the power capacity coming from solar has been dramatically going up along with batteries. So the EU supertanker turned out the EU supertanker turned with an alacrity that surprised Vladimir Putin and just about everyone else. We can say that we have done it, says Anna Maria Jaller, anyway, unpronounceable name, lead European energy analyst at the Institute for European Energy Economics and Financial Analysis. The REP Power EU plan has worked. Good for the European Union. We saw last year they had a mild winter, and that really helped them with the transition away from Russia. Energy independence in regions is the future, and the United States, under Trump had got there, under Biden had lost it, but now we're seemingly getting our mojo back in that sector with oil output being at record highs. We need oil for at least a decade. Believe me, we cannot reduce oil production while solar is coming in, while BEVs are coming in. We're going to need oil for about a decade. We have to have it. All right. Market Watch says this morning, this is amazing. Revolving credit, like credit cards, slowed to a 2.7 rate in October after a 4.1% growth rate the prior month. Non-revolving credit, typically auto and student loans, rose at only a 0.7% rate after a 2.5% increase the prior month. This category of credit is typically less volatile. The Fed's data does not include mortgage loans, which is the largest category of household debt. Big picture. Tighter standards and higher rates are beginning to weigh on credit growth, said Michael Pierce, U.S. economist at Oxford Economics. While much, this is what you listen. While much has been made of the recent increase in credit card use, credit card debt as a share of household incomes is lower than on the eve of the pandemic, Pierce said in a note to clients. May I say this again? Credit card debt as a share of household incomes is lower than it was on the eve of the pandemic. So this is another indication of the aging U.S. population. No one is talking about the reality of consumer credit being so low. Nobody's talking about this. Others are reporting about how much it's increased in the last year or two in this weird environment, but not going back and looking at historical levels when we had a normal economy. That's just negligence. The consumer is in great shape, except for inflation, and inflation is coming down. And with productivity, it will come down even more. All right. What are they saying? The clear downward trend in consumer credit should resume over the next few months as higher rates make people less willing to take on additional debt. Truflation is sitting at a recent high this morning at 3.16, but it's been in a range of 2.7 to 3.22 for a while. As noted the other day, the most current inflation is in grocery store items, clothing, and utilities, all very impactful on consumer impressions of inflation. But it's important. That part has to come down as well. I'm not sure that the Fed is going to help that. People can't buy less groceries. They're probably not going to buy less clothing by much. And it's such a small percentage of the overall economy anyway. And then, of course, gasoline is weighed down, and that's helping keep the numbers low. All right. Speaking of numbers, what are our numbers right now as we see there? I called it again. The market is now in the green. Well, most of it. The Dow is up $21. The NASDAQ is down 15. The S&P is up 41 cents. And Tesla is up 50 cents. Where the rest of the, except for NVIDIA, the rest of the Mag 7 are down, but barely, just tiny bits. As even the NASDAQ, I said only down 15. Let's look at some percentages. We have, we have the Dow Jones is down 0.06%. Up 0.06%. NASDAQ down 0.11. S&P down 0.01. Up 0.01, basically flat, and Tesla up 0.21. Then we've got the Cathie Woods this morning, mixed, completely mixed, but mostly in the green and also headed up. So I don't think Tony's call for shorting Tesla is having any impact today. Tesla is up more than the Magnificent Seven and more than the NASDAQ. In fact, all of those are down and Tesla is up. Sorry, Tony, I don't think they're listening to you. All right, let's go in and take a look at the bonds and stuff. Just a second. Here we go. All right, what we have is we have the Bitcoin this morning up 723, so retracing the down day yesterday. We have got the dollar doing okay this morning. We've got gold up 23 bucks, but that's at 2023, which is down from where it was most of yesterday, around 2040. We've got oil up $1.30, as I said earlier, but we're still looking at $70.61. I suspect this oil number will be back in the 60s before, well, maybe not today. Next week, it'll be back in the 60s. Bonds are up 10 basis points this morning. This is one, now it's back to my number, 4.25, 4.233 actually on the 10-year, which is the number I've been saying it will be at. I think when all is said and done, this number will be back down again, probably by the end of even today, as people really think through those jobs numbers. I think this is a knee jerk. We see this all the time. And then when people really pay attention, they see it was not what they thought. So we've got the 2-month is only up, basically it's flat. We've got the 2-year up 11, almost 12 basis points. So broadening that inversion again. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up so, all right, I need to move along though. We're running out of time here. Oh, that was it, right? I think I covered everything. Back to Tesla real quick. Tesla is now up, down just about 0.4%. And then now there's a little bit of, now we're getting into this part of the morning. All right, now, the Larry Goldberg video yesterday on 48-volt architecture and the impact on both the electrical and the electronic systems in the Cybertruck and the impact this is going to have on the entire automobile industry is the most viewed video in the just over 1 year that this channel has existed. Yeah, by quite a margin already, and it's continuing to get lots of views. So here's a card for that. If you haven't seen it yet, you definitely want to go back and check that out. You also, as noted, you want to make sure that you come out later today and see what Brian Wong has to say about quantum computing. It's a big, big category, very critical, very important to the future of Tesla. If quantum computing becomes the breakthrough, it looks like it's going to be. And this is not hopium. This is actually taking place. And then you want, okay, so I promised you I was going to do a quick review of this. Okay, if you haven't bought them yet, it's time to do it. You really want to get your order in. I bought another bunch. I got another bunch of inventory coming. You want to get your order in now for Christmas. Lots of orders this week. Thank you so much for supporting the channel in this way. But, you know, and supporting your friends and your family and your associates at work and your buyers. I do definitely have people buying these and giving them out to the buyers. I've had multiple reports on that. So 1 is $25, 2 is $45, 3 is $65. If you want to buy 10, it drops all the way down to $21 a piece, $210. If you want to buy 20, that is $400, which makes it $20 each. Such a bargain. They are $29.95 on Amazon. You can go buy it there if that's easier for you. I'm getting lots of sales on Amazon, and maybe that's just easier. So you can spend an extra $5 and do it on Amazon. Send the money to PayPal. paypal.me/Randy Kirk. And remember to say whether you want the camo or if you just want the plain stainless steel, let me know about that. And then if you're outside the country, add $20 to pay for the additional freight. Okay, one last chance looking at Tesla. It is now turning again, heading back toward the green. What do I think for this Friday night after the jobs report? I think everything is going to be in the green at the end of the day, that oil will have come back down, and that that will also be true. I don't think the bonds will come all the way back down to 41.1 or something like that, but I think that they will come down from where they are now before the day is over. So choppiness as we end this program today. Been great talking to you.